Welcome to Bridging the Gap to Connections, the talk show, where we begin by sharing your stories and spotlighting your shine. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap to Connections. And today is Monday, so it's Mindful Monday for mental health. Actually, I have not had the time today to go sit down and figure out what's going on in the world in regards to mental health for today. However, I've had some different things that I've been working on throughout my own experience, and I think that it is a great place for me to actually take a moment and share some of that with you guys. I had a meeting with someone recently that's gave me an opportunity, like I've done for others, given me a pro bono coaching session. And one of the things that they wanted me to look into was myself and what's undone. And this undone is really, truly allowing me to see how much work I've actually really done. In life, sometimes we go through situations and circumstances, and we have our trauma and our past and our experiences that we actually have to unpack and deal with at different points and journeys in our life. And myself, as being an intuitive transformational life coach, wanting to be here to help other people through that journey of transitioning from being abuse survivors to becoming conscious thrivers, I felt that maybe this part could be really useful, not only for myself, but really unpacking what parts of our lives that we have failed to finish up. When I went through it, I at first was like, oh, obviously there must be a problem, right? Because it was brought to my attention. So I started digging into myself and looking through all the different details. And what's funny is what's undone are the pieces of life in my journey right now that I'm working on. The parts that are undone aren't really anything other than a storyline that I've already experienced, that I've already worked through, that I've already buttoned up within myself. Now, what's ironic is that we don't always realize how quickly we identify with our story. And our stories have such an impact on our life. Myself personally, I have chronic PTSD, or have had, the series of different events that have caused me to be shattered over and over again. And I've had to pick up my pieces, by i.e. that picture that I painted, because that was really myself at one point. But I've also done and sat with myself, what we like to call the shadow work, or the deep inner dive to ourselves, the inner healing of our inner child, or, there are many different forms and titles that we give it all, but it really is looking at the timeline of our life, right? It's about getting into those places within and beginning that journey. So to our transformation, the healing, the restorative space, like the reblooming of the flower. Every year, the petals fall away from that rose, but every year it comes back. Beautiful, vibrant, and absolutely amazing. No matter how many times you've been broken, no matter what you've experienced, no matter what is going on in your life, I can honestly tell you from my own personal experience that it is possible to redevelop yourself and continue again. You can start no matter where you're at. You can start again. You can pick up the pieces. You can find the parts that you want to keep. But there are other parts that you're going to want to let go. There is nothing wrong. Even the leaves on the trees lets go during its season. So if the leaves fall away, it's okay for us to allow those in our life that are not serving us any longer, they're not part of that season of life, for us to actually begin letting go and allowing it to fall away. How many times do we leave ourselves in the situation holding on to something and only allowing for that thing that we're holding to hurt us even deeper? I used to use an analogy. I used to have a red ribbon that I used to tie around my hand and show people the analogy and what it feels like when we don't do forgiveness. When I was going through the Our Learning Self-Love courses that I was teaching, which I still have access to if anybody's interested, but it's a 90-day course on the Our Learning Self-Love. It's self-identification and identifying different places of our life that we need to repair after different hurts and loss and grief and different pain of our life, because we don't get taught the things we need to be taught from the beginning about loving ourselves first. So in turn, because we don't know how to love ourselves, we don't know how to tell other people how to love us. So we end up allowing things to come into our life until we know better, right? You don't know what you don't know until you know. And that's the truth. That's a true statement. You don't know what you don't know until you know. I've heard that so many different times in different places. And that was really an epiphany moment for me in different spaces in my life. Yeah, that's true. Didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. And a lot of times we end up walking into situations and stuff. But the purpose of what I'm talking about right now is literally letting people know that no matter where you're at in the journey, when you turn into yourself and begin diving into the understanding of oneself, you can then begin putting the pieces together. And what I want to do with Mindful Mondays for mental health is bring other people along the journey that are actually doing really extraordinary things around the world and talking about what their journeys are. If you have a story to share, please reach out. Let me know what it is. Let me know what's going on. We can do a quick 30-minute talk about it, unpack it, figure out how to present it. And I can even help you to put down the details together so that you can build that story. If you already know and you're already sharing it, if you have a book, I have Tuesday. And what I do on Tuesdays is I share about books, book knowledge, book talks. We're talking about books, whether or not you published them, getting ready to publish them, information in books that we think, like right now, I'm on Tuesdays, I'm doing a deep dive into thought conditions that was taught by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And so you might want to be interested in listening to that. Then on Wednesdays, I have words of wisdom. And there are a lot of people out there with lots of wisdom, a lot of different knowledge out there. What do you want to talk about? Let's come and share some of these words of wisdom to help other people grow and develop. Then I've got Therapeutic Thursdays. What is that for? That's for those who are holistic out there that have different tools and techniques that they want to use, that they're giving away to others to help them as a free gift to begin expanding and fine-tuning and bringing themselves back inward so that they can actually find the way to root to themselves. Also on Feature Fridays, this is where the story comes. If you're a business and you're ready to expand and share it out there with the world, and you want a video that allows people to hear who you are, and what you're about, you want to come on the show. See, what I'm doing is more than just sitting here and talking to a camera. I'm literally sitting here, opening the door for each and every one of you out there who's ready to be heard, who's ready to be seen, who's ready for others to understand what you're really doing. And what I really want to do is help you to curate that story in a way that it opens up and becomes an actual tool that you can use over and over again to share with other people and sort of take out the messiness of trying to explain yourself over and over and over again. How many times do people go, "Oh, what do you do?" And you have to go, "Oh, hold on, let me backtrack. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it." And da 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 da. And then you sound like just this pitch over and over again. "Hi, this is what I'm doing. Hi." Instead, why don't people get a chance to actually get to know you on a personal level in a podcast form? So when they say, "Hey, what do you do?" You can say, "Hey, you know what? Take a listen to this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on right now. And when you're finished, send me a message. Let me know you listen to it, and then we'll catch up." Because then you're taking the footwork out of having to repeat, and actually having it already pre-recorded. How many times do they say, oh, record your message so that you can have that perfect pitch to get that out there? I don't have a problem with a pitch. If you have one, great, keep using it. I have one too, Bridging the Gap to Connections, where we begin by sharing your stories and spotlighting your shine. I have a pitch too. We all need one. But really, what is going to sell us? What's going to help us to actually gain the momentum with somebody else? It isn't about us repeating, well, this is what I do. If I just continue to sit here and say, hi, I'm Darla Williams. I'm an intuitive transformational life coach. Hi, I'm Darla Williams, which is what we do at the beginning of every one of those videos. We introduce ourselves. And then we scroll past. How many times do we hear somebody and scroll past because we're just tired of hearing the same intro? People are not buying our intro to what we do. What are people buying? People are buying the actual opportunity of knowing a little bit about who you and I are and why we're doing what we're doing. When they understand us on a personal level and they can say, oh, I can connect with her. When we actually can connect with one another, all of a sudden we're creating a synergy. We're creating the energy to grow. And what happens when that happens is we're actually feeding the system, the collective. Here we all are, right? We're all trying to connect. So that brings me back to letting you know, like I said, I have Mondays through Fridays. There are tons of different options. We can put you somewhere and get you out there. I'm really wanting to create a Rolodex to help people to find people. So if you have a message, if you have a business you're launching, if you've already been in business and you're just not getting the traction that you want, if you have a story that needs to be shared, if you are sitting in a place and you have tools and techniques that can help other people, if you're wanting to help others to overcome domestic violence, if you're wanting to talk about trauma, if you're wanting to talk about just general mental health and how to begin a journey into taking better care of yourself with your mind, your body, and your soul, whatever it might be, take a moment, plug in on my channel, listen to a couple other people, and see if maybe this might be an avenue that you're interested in exploring. I hope to see you. I hope to have you and bring you on. But today, talking about mental health and what I was saying about the unpacking of myself at the beginning. I was telling you a little bit about the fact that I was saying that I've been doing what's in the undone. And to my shock, once I was asked that question, I realized there's really not a whole lot undone. There's a hang up in some stories, but we all have that. And it's okay to set them down. The only things right now that are undone in my world are literally the parts and pieces, some projects that I haven't finished, maybe some affirmation cards that I'm painting, the opportunity of meeting the next person, the meetings that are on my books, the story in which I'm developing every day. But undone, if you have a place in your world that's undone, that you just can't get out of, that isn't complete, then maybe it's time to reach out and find someone. If it's not me, I have plenty of people that I know along the way that might be a perfect fit. And you can bounce around and find the one that's right for you. But I want you to remember, the only reason we're undone in any place is because we haven't taken the time to walk through the story. And if you have stories that are holding you back from becoming everything you're intended to be, isn't it time to finish what's undone? I absolutely love that question now. I'll tell you, a few days ago when it first started and I was going through it, I didn't like it so much. But when I sought into my soul, my purpose, my reason, my why, and I realized I'm pretty solid. There's not a whole lot undone. And I guess I just really needed that reminder that I'm doing such a good job taking care of the things and truly tuning into myself. And if you need some help along the way, come on, let me show you the way or find someone who can. That's the end of today. And until next time, bye for now.